accidentally pick her up with my fingers. She backed away. She didn't like that. Hey, it's okay. I won't hurt you. I just want to get you off my tire if you want.
Absolutely pouring again. Saturday the 20th of July. 2 days after our foliar feed. I haven't even been back to look a second look since that 24-hour look I had at the foliar feed. We're going to go look at it now. This is supposed to clear out.
So here we are. And it's still raining a bit. We had a pretty heavy thunderstorm come through down south a little further. Doesn't look like we got too much amount of rain up here, but that's consistent with the radar picture I was looking at. So nice to see our data is accurate. I don't see any detriment. I see a lot of plant vigor, vitality, and health. And that's exactly what I wanted to see. I also notice between these two rows, and I know one of these rows is Kennebec and one is the other seed supplier, Minnesota. And I don't recall which is which, but I believe the left-hand one is Kennebec. I'll have to confirm that. But yeah, definitely a difference in plant growth style, vigor, vitality. And the seed sizes and storage capacities, all that stuff they're very different, although they're both Kennebec quick, because we haven't really focused on these at all. And I guess you should just see, whew, that rain's cold. How much growth they've taken on. They are exploding. And so this weekend, one of the things that I need to get taken care of right away is get some stakes on these things so they can grow tall and produce for us. So I guess that's it for now. We'll stop and look at Colorado potato. All right, so from the previous video clips we're picking up where those plants are starting to show flower. You come down the row, don't really see much. And then we hit that soil profile change, and it's immediate and blatantly obvious. And we still have Colorado potato bug on here chewing, so I don't know. Maybe I didn't hit it strong enough. Still, they're very, very sluggish. They don't look well, but we haven't killed them yet. So I don't know. We'll continue to monitor over the next day or two and see what happens. We might have to do another application. So I'm looking at our layout here and having run the disc through and seeing how tight this end is for turning around and making good cuts with the disc or that sort of thing, and knowing with putting a fence in here that there's that much more obstacle to work around and that much more limiting factors for making corners, and that I want to try and put some sort of a pond in here, some sort of a water catchment area in here, and still leave a little bit of room for the roadway up into the toe of our hill here, and capture water out of our valley, out of our channel coming down here. And then trying to consider the constraints of the property corner down that way, which is fairly close to us. And then of course considering the constraints here of the rock ridge that runs next to us, and not wanting to have to get into side slopes with roadways or cutting extremely hard materials to build roadways that are level. I think what we're going to do here is shift everything about 20 foot further south. That'll pull us out away from that enough that we have turnarounds and room for our fence line to come through and still have a water feature, here sort of, and still have our roadways come around and not have anything interfere with each other, right? So down here, the limiting factor, the big concern was, number one, property lines right there, and number two, we want to hold a certain amount of this cedar tree up here to have like a privacy barrier and give our neighbors space and have space for ourselves. And so my concern was not going too far south with this, but looking at it, I can pull about 20 feet further south, and there's still lots of green and cover in here, evergreen, so it won't disappear in the winter. And I could basically pull this line of trees here and a couple here on this corner edge out, and that'll open us up and make it so we can still make our roadway up through here and make our corner smooth. And the other issue I had to consider here was having enough room for our staging area in here. This is kind of our entry areas where implements come on and off and tanks come in and out and that kind of stuff. So I didn't want to cram this in too much. So I think what we'll do is wipe out this first curved row of trees here with the Massey, and I'll wipe out the front edge of this cluster, and that'll push our staging area back down this way a little bit, and that'll give us the room that we need to pull everything south about 20 feet, and that'll fill in nice. So we're pretty well disked up. I'll have to extend the cut a little bit here on this end, and then we're golden. Alrighty, we got that cleared out pretty well. I didn't add this cluster yet because that could be done later, and then get to that stuff up there because now we have room to get in here and do what we got to do to get this block set up and get some cover crop on it so we can move on to the other 8,000 functioning pieces to get the farm up and running. These trees all came out pretty easily with the Massey Ferguson. Real nice to be able to not have to get off the machine and hook up a chain. The backhoe changes the game so much to be able to just grab a tree behind you, take it up where you want it, drop it off, turn around, shove it in, and it's out of your way. So this is opened up nicely now. We can get to our pins easily. I'll probably come through with the saw and trim a few branches, or maybe even clip one or two more trees up in this corner just to make this clearance a little easier. Other than that, we're pretty well set now. We got open space to cut a roadway through here so we can get in and out without interfering or compacting the field. I really didn't want to have to run the Massey Ferguson over this that much because that machine weighs 5 tons. It's like 9,800 pounds or something before you put fuel in it. So it's a lot of weight to put over this piece of land. But I figure it's probably better to do it now, get the trees out of the way. We've got it cut up once. Now I'll come back with a disc and cut it up again, and we'll get some buckwheat in here. And from here out, we'll run traffic control on here. If you're not familiar with traffic control, you basically just control where you allow tire weight to roll over an area. And so once we figure out what we're planting here and how we're managing it and all, we'll probably cut rows. And then the only place that any tractor weight will come through will be those 2 rows where the tractor tires come through on each row. and we'll limit it. We won't be running the Massey Ferguson up and down that a lot if we can help it. It'll be the Ford, which is a much lighter machine. I think the Ford by itself weighs around 1,200 pounds, so much bigger, much less weight. Very big difference in the weight. So that's it for now. I'm going to carry on working. I'm going to get this disc cutting again. Here we are back from the south end again. The final shot here after clearing out the roadway edges and re-disking, get things cut back up. And I think we're good enough now. I can go ahead and plant this. So I'm going to weigh out some buckwheat seed. They say 50 to 60 pounds per acre. This is about 7,500 square feet. Actually, it's a little more than that, so I'll probably expand that. That put us around 10 pounds. And I think I'm going to go real heavy. I just want to make sure we have a real heavy canopy that just absolutely blocks out all the weed pressures. That'll give us a tremendous advantage next year. And it'll also help us build our soil up very rapidly, because I can come back here and foliar feed it and really accelerate our soil building process very rapidly. So that feels really good to finally actually be conquering some ground and about ready to put our first planting down. Even if it's not a crop for productivity or for food or for sale, it feels really good to finally be planting something in the soil. And I guess I'll just, while I'm here, I'll just point out, remember I was disking this up and it was nice and soft. And since I've had the Massey Ferguson back and forth across here a bunch of times, you can see how much this is hardened up already. And so that's exactly why we do traffic control as part of our program to maintain healthy soils and keep our soil aggregates and soil structure intact. So while I was out with the disc, there's this end of this roadway here that's been just driving me absolutely nuts. There's a lot of like cross-cut ridges in it from whatever grading was done initially before the grass grew up. And it's basically almost bounce your head off each wall of the car unless you go across it either real slow or so fast that you can't get yoked back and forth basically. And also the end here where we connect to the roadway, the grading on that was pretty rough. So it was kind of quite a hump coming off the road. So I came down with a Massey Ferguson and cut a chunk out of that. It's still, it's probably not totally there yet, but we'll roll across it softened up and see. We'll probably still feel these ruts right in here. Yeah, a little bit, but not as bad as they were. And if I have to, I'll come back with a rake or the Massey Ferguson and we'll clean them up a little bit more. But I just wanted this roadway entrance to be a little cleaner. You know, this is a huge part of what we do in engineering. Make sure that one grade fits another in a way that a car or truck or whatever vehicle is going across it can do it smoothly and not bounce across. If it weren't for engineers and consequently the people doing the work with that engineering work, let me tell you, it'd be one heck of a rough ride down the freeway. Looks like a whole lot of fun. There you go. There's the rain and thunder lines clearing through. Beautiful sunset. Pretty cool cloud structure out there in that one little notch. All right, you know the deal. Keep your friends close. Your farmers closer. Cheers.